there's been concern from some Ghanaians, in particular the opposition, who have made it a big story, to be asking about the vice president. Now, the reason why they're asking about the vice president and asking the vice president to run to say something about what's happening in the economy is that ahead of 2016's election, the vice president was really the main spokesperson for the opposition about the economy. He championed different economic programs. He talked about how the government of the day was incompetent. He talked about how the economy was difficult, the lights were off, and the cedi depreciated because he said the incumbent government of President John Dramani Mahama, Vice President Pakusi Misa'ata, may he rest in peace, and the Honorable Seth Tekpe, the Minister for Finance at the time, were incompetent. Dr. Bawumia ran and waxed lyrical about this for a very long time. He became the main focal point of the NPP's campaign on the economy. He gained a lot of plaudits, he gained a lot of confidence, and a lot of people were excited about what Dr. Bawumia was doing. Now, that was 2016's election, so the campaign of 2015 and 2016 especially had Dr. Bawumia speaking a lot in public fora. Now, his way to do it was to address in public fora, and he had a fantastic way of going about it. He had the content, he had the lyrics, he had the excitement, and he had also the humor. He presented a lot of these things with significant humor that made people laugh. But essentially, people recognize Dr. Bawumia as an important brain to forestall and restore Ghana's economy and move forward if Akufo-Addo were to be elected, and therefore Dr. Bawumia becomes the vice president. Indeed, that event occurred in 2016. And then after that, a few things have happened. Then now, 2022, over the last 2 months, there's been a massive call from the opposition touting Dr. Bawumia and asking him to answer. Even media houses have joined and said Dr. Bawumia should answer. Today, we have questions for those people who are saying that Dr. Bawumia should speak, and we're going to deal with it systematically. So those of you who are watching it for the first time, who are hearing this matter for the first time, we're going to put all the strands of the story together so that you can understand. This is how the story began. Here is Dr. Bawumia at one of his famous town hall meetings talking about the economy of President Mahama.
I now turn to the exchange rate. Mr. Chairman, under the management of this NDC's government, the Ghana cedi has obtained the dubious distinction of being one of the worst performing currencies in the world. The cedi has depreciated from some 1.2 Ghana cedis to the dollar to today 3.95 or almost 4 Ghana cedis to the dollar. This is in contrast to the remarkable stability of the cedi during the 8 years of the MPP government under President John Agyekum Kufuor. So you see from the graph the relative stability that you witnessed during the MPP era. And then suddenly from 2012, there's this massive jump up. Again, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of exchange rate depreciation, the worst performance between 2001 and 2016, the worst performance of the exchange rate has been between 2012 and 2016, during the tenure of John Dramani Mahama.
So this is not just that, but this is one of those, and this is one of the main ones because of the currency depreciation that has been talked about Dr. Bawumia. Now they're asking that question. So I'm building the trajectory. So yeah, that's Dr. Bawumia speaking, I believe, in 2015 or in 2016. Okay, so the narrative from Dr. Bawumia continued. He pounded the NDC administration. He pounded President Mahama. He stuck him with the word incompetence, and he will repeat it several times when he's talking. John Mahama is incompetent, is incompetent, is incompetent. Of course, at that time, the lights were off. At that time, nurses training, nurses allowances had been stopped. At that time, teacher training allowances had been stopped. At that time, there was Graduate Unemployment Association because the John Mahama administration had submitted Ghana's economy to an IMF program, and the IMF program said that you cannot employ people. So the John Mahama administration was immobilized. They were demobilized. They were emasculated. They really couldn't employ because they had to submit Ghana's economy to an IMF program. Why they needed to submit Ghana's economy to an IMF program in 2013, nobody understood it. Because as John Mahama, as Dr. Bawumia was saying, since 2001 to 2016, the cedi had experienced that depreciation. But here was a government that had inherited itself. Here was a John Mahama government that had inherited a Mills government. So they couldn't say that they had inherited a bad economy. If they had inherited a bad economy, they had created it. So this was the circumstance at the time that gave Dr. Bawumia the push and the wind aid to be able to flout down the government the way he did. And he did it really well. And it appeared that those narratives that were turned out by Dr. Bawumia at the various fora that happened in Accra and elsewhere, and indeed on the campaign platform, adding to the charge of corruption against President Mahama, may have occasioned the MPP's massive windfall victory of 2016. This is how Charlotte Osei announced it.
Of the NDC had 4,713,277 votes, being 44.40%. Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo of the New Patriotic Party had 5,716,026 votes, being 53.85%. On the basis of the foregoing figures, and by the power vested in me as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the returning officer for the presidential election, it is my duty and my privilege to declare Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the outcome of the kinds of things Dr. Bawumia did, of course. So the declaration of the election then led to what formally had to be done, the swearing in of the president and the vice. Here is Dr. Bawumia taking the oath of office.
To the laws of the Republic of Ghana.
And suffer the penalty for it.
And suffer the penalty for it.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, so Dr. Bawumia had taken the oath of office in 7 January 2017. After saying all the things he said about inflation, about currency, about the economy, about the incompetence of a government that could not pay nurses training allowances, could not pay teacher training allowances, could not employ anyone because they have submitted the country's economy to an IMF program that said you cannot employ. He stuck incompetence on them, and then he was sworn into office. So after Dr. Bawumia was sworn into office on 7 January, what happened to the economy? The question I'm asking tonight is that why didn't these people rise up in 2017 to assess the economy and say Dr. Bawumia was a liar, he's incompetent, he couldn't do it? Let's go to the touch screen and see what happened to the economy. Now, what you have here is the GDP growth, and that's the only figure we have. But we always hear people say GDP doesn't put money in our pocket, etc. Yeah, we know that. But that's the basis of the measurement that we have. And if you look at it, anytime you say that the economy of Ghana is doing well, take 2006, take 2007, take 2018, you will find that there's a correlation with the GDP growth. So it's okay for all of us to say GDP doesn't put money in our pocket. Yeah, that may be true. But you will find that anytime the economy is doing well, you check with the GDP, there's a clear correlation between the growth of the economy and the money in your pocket. So this is 2016, 3.4 percentage growth, 3.4 GDP. Our GDP was at 3.4. It grew by 3.4%. In 2016, the election year, you can see that on your screen. Come 2017, January, Dr. Bawumia took over. End of 2017, where is the economic growth? It grows up to 8.1. So that's when Dr. Bawumia takes over as the leader of the economic management team. So this is the guy who was campaigning, who was talking about the CD, he was talking about the economy, he was talking about everything. Now, how should we conceptualize this 8.1? Okay, so Dr. Bawumia talked about nurses are suffering, teachers are suffering, everybody is suffering. Okay, so when they came in 2017, he restored teacher training allowances. That means he's adding budget to the economy. The economy is now being asked to pay more. Something the economy was not paying at 3.4, they were not paying it. 3.4 growth, they were not paying teacher training allowances. Teacher training allowances is added. Nurses training allowances is added. Year 1 of free SHS is declared and added in September of 17. The economy in 17 goes to 8.1. Where were the people who are asking for Dr. Bawumia today, the opposition? Why didn't they ask about him in 8.1? At 8.1, did he demonstrate his competence or not? Let's move on. It's a short story. Let's go on. And then comes 2018. So all the payments go out in 2017. The graduates are beginning to be employed again. The police is employing again. We saw it. The military is employing again. The IMF program is gone. In 2017, the Ministry of Finance wins Ghana off IMF and conducts a Wache and Kenke party at the ministry. People are bringing those pictures out today. That's happened in 2017, okay? All right. Now, in 2018, the growth of the economy is at 6.3. That is 2018. Still Dr. Bawumia in charge as a leader of the economic management team. 2019, the growth is 6.5. At the end of 2019, the government projects that in 2020, the growth is going to be 6.8. Remember that we are coming from 3.4. The people who are talking about Ghana today, and that's why I talk about Solomon and the baby. They are not interested in the baby. It's not their baby. They want the baby killed. They just want to be in power. They came and they grew the economy at 3.4. They didn't pay teacher training allowances. They didn't pay nursing training. They didn't pay NAPCO. They didn't pay nothing. And they only managed a 3.4 growth. Somebody comes and is paid teacher training allowance. It's paid nurses training allowances. It's paid NAPCO and rises up to 8.1. You didn't talk about it. They all ran away. They went to hide. They all went to hide, including everyone. Today, media people are calling for Dr. Bawumia also. They didn't make any analysis at that time. They all went to hide. So my point is, if you make an analysis today, tell us that we know that Dr. Bawumia started well, but now something is wrong. We will understand that. But you can't come in 2022 and say, what did he say in 2015? Why? The man was in power in 17, he was in power in 18, he was in power in 19. You don't want us to look at that. You want us to look at 2022. I mean, really? That's the kind of deceit that is not good for our politics. And I'm going to say tonight that all over the world, no opposition party is taking advantage of the economic situation to run down the government. It's not happening in Britain. The Labour Party is not doing that. It's not happening in Nigeria. It's not happening in Cote d'Ivoire. It's only happening in Ghana. I'll show you Joe Biden's tape where he's talking about the reason why we are where we are. America in the last few weeks has raised its inflation, has raised its interest rates, never raised it in 40 years. I'm not saying what is happening is good. We have to demand of the government to tell us why what is happening is happening. That's why we understand that the finance minister is going to speak to Parliament on Thursday to tell us what the government is doing, because the government is in charge of the economy. They're in charge of the country. We're not going to accept it to say petrol prices have gone up. The government must tell us what they are doing. If they cannot tell us what they are doing, then they are incompetent. So the government must always come and tell us what they are doing. The reason why people bought into Dr. Bawumia's attack on President Mahama that he was incompetent, that you couldn't find what they were doing. You couldn't find it. Your light is off. You don't know what they are doing. That's why the incompetence tag worked. Incompetence tag will work again if the government is not able to tell us what they are doing. They have to tell us. So that's understood. They will have to tell us. But those who are talking about Dr. Bawumia must not ignore the data and the facts of what have occurred between 2017 and 2020. It's obvious what occurred. So those who are saying Dr. Bawumia is incompetent, he's gone to hide, he must come and speak. Did you see him in 2017? Did you see him in 2018? Did you see him in 2019? Now let's go to 2020. 2020 was projected to grow at 6.8, and then COVID came in. We all saw what happened during COVID, the first time in the history of Ghana that many things happened. It's a global pandemic, supply is cut, airports is closed for so long, the teachers are not going to school, children are not going to school. And in the situation, the government, which is one of the few governments in Africa that did that, and we all applauded the government for doing that, maintained the salary of public service workers, asked them to stay at home, which means they were staying at home and using more electricity and more water. But government said, whilst you stay at home and we pay you your salary, you don't have to pay water. You don't have to pay electricity. All over the world, we had the foreign power, the big international powers, Britain, United Kingdom, Canada. They were increasing the salaries of their health workers. We have never had that in Africa. Ghana did the same. Ghana increased the salary of health workers. Have we forgotten? And they said, stay at home, don't pay electricity, don't pay water, but stay at home, because the president said, if we do this, the economy will collapse. I know. But I know how to bring back an economy. I do not know how to raise people from the dead. So I don't want my people to die. Let's spend all the money we can so people don't die. As for the economy, it's going to collapse. As soon as it collapses, we will know how to pull it back again. So I'm at a loss why people these days come and say, where is Dr. Bawumia? Show Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia was running the show. You saw it. He ran the show up until COVID. COVID is a false measure. Nobody created COVID. But when COVID comes in and says, stop work, don't go, get off the streets, lock down, cook for people who don't have food, people who do hand to mouth, they are on the streets, they are selling. President said, you can't sell on the streets, no cars on the road, put police on the road, get everybody home. If you are home, we will have to cook for you. How many African countries did that? And that's why Ghana scored so high marks during COVID. Every day, WHO was referring to Ghana. Every commentary, WHO is referring to Ghana. At some point, they were telling foreign powers that go to Ghana and learn how to do policy management in a pandemic. Ghana scored high marks for policy management in a pandemic. We all saw it. And the president has said it, that the economy will collapse. But we will know how to bring it back. So let's spend all the money we need to spend to keep our people alive. And that's what happened. Thankfully, COVID didn't consume us. We are here again, and now we're understanding that restrictions are going to release and the economy is going to go back. Is this the time to ask for Dr. Bawumia, or this is not the time? Now the currency is also gone. Now the CD is doing very badly. And they say, hey, Dr. Bawumia, you said that the CD, he said something in 2015, 2016. He's run the show for 4 years, been re-elected. It is in his second term. Knowing that COVID pandemic has come in, is it that the media don't know that the pandemic came, so they call for Dr. Bawumia to come and say something? Yes, Dr. Bawumia must say something. He must tell us the panacea to manage the situation that we have. Every country in the world is telling their people, some of it will be difficult measures, some of it will be tightening your belt here and there, but he has to say it. But my point is, when you are asking for Dr. Bawumia, you have to analyze the situation this way. You can't jump over all of this, pretend that nothing happened, pretend that there was no 2017 growth, pretend there was no 2018 growth, pretend that nurses and teachers training allowances have not been restored, pretend that you don't know that free SHS has been running now from 1, from 2, from 3. The entire secondary school process in Ghana is free. There's an addition to that we don't often add. That is, day students are being fed. It was never part of the conversation, never part of the policy. So day schools have had to build dining halls to feed the people. 1.3 million Ghanaians have now been gone through free SHS for free on the back of the taxpayer. That didn't happen in 2016 when the growth was 3.4. Without all of these things, don't employ anybody. You grew at 3.4. Is that what we are saying is there a better alternative? I mean, I don't even get it. Yes, criticize Dr. Bawumia all you want to, but analyze it this way. Without analyzing it this way, you have been dishonest, either as an academic, as a journalist, as a politician. For politician, you have been grossly dishonest, because no politician in the world is challenging the government of the day for the economic situation. Here is Joe Biden. Listen to Joe Biden. This is what Joe Biden said.
But let's be absolutely clear about why prices are high now. They're high for two reasons. One was COVID. The way the global economy works, if a factory in Taiwan that makes computer chips shuts down due to a COVID outbreak, it causes a ripple effect to slow down auto manufacturing in Detroit, literally, not figuratively. So because of the pandemic, we had significant disruptions in the supply chain. And our supply chain is so important with so many materials that come from other places. At the same time, because the rescue plan boosted the strength and speed of our recovery, Americans had more money in their pockets. And during the pandemic, they wanted to spend that money not on restaurants and vacations because of COVID, but on hard goods, home improvements, televisions, automobiles. But the lumber factories weren't open. They weren't making 2x4s. Plywood wasn't available. I can go down the list. The very products that we needed for the things they wanted to buy are slowed down by disruptions in the supply chain. So what happens? Prices went up significantly. Just look at automobiles. Last year, new automobiles accounted for 1/3 of all the inflation in America because the auto companies couldn't get the computer chips. The price of an automobile skyrocketed. And now, second big reason for inflation is Vladimir Putin and gas prices. Not a joke. Rescuing our economy didn't cause this problem, but we're working to fix it.
Yeah, you heard that. So it's not the economic management of America that caused the problem, but they're going to fix it. That's what he's promising the American people. That's what President Akufo-Addo said, that we don't know how to bring back the dead, but we know how to fix a bad economy, because the kind of policies that he was taking during COVID was going to bring the economy down. Given the global pandemic, by the time the pandemic is over, it's lasted for months and almost to a year. It's still with us. Somehow we are managing with bravery to sort of get it out of the way and observe our COVID protocols. And we have done a great job at that, all of us in Ghana. But this is the reality. The reality is that there was an intervention. And I like the support. I like to support those who are calling on Parliament to ask the government to explain how the COVID funding was done, how it was used. I think that's very laudable. The government must explain, no doubt about that. But I'm just saying that if you're a position person and you are talking about politics today, you should give us some respect. We know Dr. Bawumia has been there for a long time. He didn't campaign in 2020 and came in 2022 so that you can use the campaign message he gave in 2016 in 22. You didn't use it in 17. You did not use it in 18. You did not use it in 19. You come in 22 and use it. You don't tell us anything about what happened before COVID. I think that's not fair. I think that's dishonesty. And that's the reason why we are putting this out. Okay, final one. The projection for 2021 estimated is 5.1 growth. 2021 is 5.1. I don't know whether it's come out yet in the actuals because we're in March. By now we should know it. But this is the projection, the estimated 5.1. It is still greater than 3.4. I think somebody must explain to us, Tekpe must explain to us why he had that abysmal growth in 2016, the election year. Totally abysmal. He must explain to us. Anyway, I'll leave it here. That's the end of my editorial. Give me the editorial montage again. We are done.